Hello, hello. We are in the month of October. Amy, welcome.
Thank you. I
Where,
had to find
where,
the unmute button.
yeah, where are
Yes,
you? You're not at home.
I'm in Louisville, Kentucky.
You know where I'd love to start is maybe a month or two ago, I was presenting at an FPA chapter. I've done a bunch of those this fall. You were
Mm-hmm.
there. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we knew that we were both presenting, but during my presentation, I said, does anybody want to fight? And I meant that in like love, like, hey, let's have an awesome discussion, hopefully a disagreement, because really cool things. And you raised your hand, you're like, I want to fight. And not only did you raise your hand, you stood up and you walked up to the whiteboard, and I think you took the pen out of my hand and started writing stuff on the whiteboard, which was
That
just,
sounds like me.
it
Yeah.
was amazing. Can you remember what the fight was about? And I'm using that fight
Uh,
term, the discussion was
I
about.
yeah, I figured this would come up, so it took me a little bit to remember what it was. There were two things that I had a little bit of a disagreement with you about. And I will say that this sort of thing is my favorite thing to do.
Me too.
I love just talking about, all kinds of philosophical things and meaning. And I mean, this is my jam for sure. So I was super into your opening presentation at this conference. I happened to be the closing of the same conference. But I definitely had a couple of things. So one, which was, you talked about how, isn't it interesting that in our profession in financial planning, people are basically paying for certainty.
Mm.
However, in other parts of their life, they will pay for uncertainty. And so you were giving examples about like thrill rides that people go on, or even just going to the movie, not really knowing what you're about to see, but there's certain situations in which people will pay for uncertainty, but with us, they're paying for certainty. And in those situations where they're paying for uncertainty, there tends to be some sort of underlying safety net,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
or a feeling that they will be safe. And so they're kind of paying for a
Mm.
thrill of some kind, but yet there is a sense that they will be safe, I think.
Mm.
And that's the difference
Mm.
between the willingness to pay for uncertainty, I think, and then for maybe what they seek out with us,
Yeah.
or financial planners.
But how do we deal with that when, and I listen, I don't think people know they're coming to pay for certainty. I think, well, that people want certainty because humans want certainty. And we're at risk of selling it to them because it's easy to sell. And
Mm-hmm.
my point has always been, but the problem is it's impossible to deliver.
Yeah, and I've thought about this a little bit more, and I'm not so sure. Like you just said, I don't think that that's necessarily what they are thinking when they come in the door. Like, I want certainty,
Okay.
because I think that most people at this age where they're investing assets and whatever already kind of understand that there is the uncertainty there. But I think probably more of what they seek is clarity.
Mm.
And there's a difference between clarity and certainty, a big
Mm.
difference. Frankly, I think that people who are seeking out financial planners are unclear about their own lives and the priorities in their lives and what
Mm.
should be most important and that sort of thing. So I think that's a big misconception in the financial planning profession, is that advisors, I mean, probably not this group, but the advisors often assume, what clients are coming in for are financial solutions and services,
Mm.
when actually, I believe they're seeking to gain clarity and reduce fear, reduce um, anxiety. So I think what they're seeking is actually more of an emotional thing than it is like a practical thing.
But do you think they know that? Because my experience has been that they don't. The presenting problem. You come to a financial advisor of any stripe, right? Financial planner. You have a presenting problem. The problem is almost always tactical. I need life insurance. I have a pool of money. There's an acute problem. Not, I'm seeking clarity and I want to cry on your couch.
I don't think it's a conscious thing necessarily,
Okay,
but if you
okay.
dig down into what it
Sure.
is, they're feeling anxious because of something going on in their financial lives. And they believe if I get this thing taken care of, that anxiety that I'm feeling will dissipate.
Right.
This is something I talk about in the training that we have. Is how I think about it is action follows emotion. Always. If there's a fear or an anxiety or something like that that is motivating somebody to take action, at least it is getting them to move forward. But is oftentimes as soon as that advisor starts, explaining something or whatever, that person feels like, oh, okay, this is going to be taken care of. And that anxiety I'm feeling is reducing even before any specific strategy is implemented. Just talking about it can reduce that fear and anxiety, which is great for them. However, you're bringing them back down to neutral. And then oftentimes they don't even end up implementing certain strategies because they're no longer feeling that anxiety or fear. So, I think you can hear a lot of advisors talk about how frustrated they are when their clients don't end up moving forward or they're dragging their feet. And really, it's the positive emotions, the inspiration or aspiration, the excitement about something that actually leads to more sustainable behavior change.
Okay. Here's my question. How do you think about life planning and financial therapy as a stated objective with clients who don't know what in the world you're even talking about?
We don't suggest that they say that it's necessarily something different. We want them to put it out there as, this is how I do financial planning. This is my process for financial planning, and not necessarily like have some sort of separation between what is life planning versus what is financial planning. It is financial planning done well, essentially. But I do think the more detailed an advisor can get with painting a picture of really what each meeting is going to be like and what you're going to talk about, that they can do a better job of differentiating themselves and identifying not only the practical benefits that you'll get out of working with that advisor, but also the emotional benefits that you'll get from the clarity and from the reduced fear or anxiety and that sort of thing.
I still love the righteous trick model, right? Like I still love the idea of like, come in, let me greet you with deep empathy. Because by the way, the reason you're showing up to me with, demanding a solution in whatever form you want, like you want a prescription as fast as possible. The reason you're showing up that way is because my industry taught you to do that.
Most often you're exceeding their expectations when you're able to facilitate these types of conversations they weren't expected. But it's interesting that as, I guess, humans, that we fear the pushback because it's going to be different, rather than being excited to show them how we can exceed their expectations.
Beautiful.
I mean, what I have seen is, for the most part, when in terms of evolving to the real financial planners, like you say, Carl, that it's the advisor's own fears that are the biggest obstacle to evolving the practices and evolving the way that they're talking with their clients.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Carl, I'm here
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, what did
Hi.
you want to ask?
No, this is exactly what I wanted to ask. Was I don't think I know you don't like tactics, but I do think it's an
I
art
love
form.
them. Yeah.
Right? Like asking,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can just feel like when you're in a meeting with a client, like you have cotton in your mouth and you're just like, I need to have kind of a list that gets all that mojo flowing, that helps you kind of remember your superpowers and what you really are.
Mm.
So I ask this of our with our clients, and I tell them this is my favorite question, and no pressure, but it changed my life when someone asked me this question. And I ask each spouse this, and I say, you can't interrupt, right? Like this is all you. But describe for me life at perfection. Where are you at? Who are you with? And what are you doing? I just got head to toe chills saying that, like asking it, because answering that question changed my life.
That question is a perfect way to bring about core values. And I think that what a person naturally does when asked that question is they go to a feeling, like, where am I when I feel this amazing? Who am I with when I feel this amazing? What am I doing when I feel this amazing? And that's going to uncover, actual core values without external influences. I think that's so cool, Christy. And what a profound experience that you had. I mean, it just, again, goes to show you could have a fairly practical question. At one end of the spectrum, it brings some clarity around maybe what some goals are and some priorities are. But the other end of the spectrum, when you really engage in it, Christy had a very transformational experience. So regardless, it's valuable. Even if it wasn't totally transformational, it still brought clarity, and that's valuable. Yeah.
Marty Kurtz has had a massive, like, Marty changed my life when he was FPA president and made me come to FPA National in Denver, and I'd never been, and he was like, you're coming, and it was just so impactful. So Marty, you mentioned something that Marty had said to you. Advice kills conversation. So could you just riff on that for a minute?
I love that. Cute. I didn't know that you had such a relationship with Marty. I did as well. He is still a huge mentor of mine. And he does say advice kills conversation. We bring this up in our training every time. It's interesting if you think about what happens, what actually occurs in communication when somebody gives advice. It's basically like saying, stop talking. I've heard enough. I know what the answer is, and I'm going to tell you what that answer is. So even if they don't necessarily feel it that strongly, there is a level of disengagement. So it's interesting, just something to think about is the style of communication that you're putting out there with clients.
Amy, thank you. It was amazing. Everybody else, thank you for being here. We'll see you in a couple of weeks in November. Cheers. Bye. It
was a blast.
Hello. Yes. Unmute yourselves. Katie, where are you? You're in San Francisco?
Yeah.
And Danica, you're in Portland?
Seattle.
Sorry. And do we pronounce it Delia?
Delia. Like I'll deal you a card, I say.
Delia. Very, very cool. Where are you?
I'm in Boston.
Cool. So let's just start with like what landed or what resonated about today's call for you?
I think that for me, the thing that landed kind of the hardest, that I actually feel like I have to go back and kind of change the wording on some of my like content, is that idea that advice creates a barrier. And like I have been kind of going down this path, maybe not publicly yet, of like calling what I do like advice only planning, but now I don't like that. Like just from what Amy said about like the like that advice kind of denotes that I know everything and you don't, and I'm going to tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, then you're stupid.
That's
That
amazing.
hit
That
home hard.
yeah, she really pushes further than most people I know on. I mean, the idea that I remember she said to me in another context, she said, the presence of a financial advisor is distorting of the experience. Like it's like just your presence means you're going to be drawing out, mimetic answers, like what people think you want to hear. And that's like, wow, that's really confronting in terms of how do I create space to help people understand that, that's not what I'm here for. I'm actually here to try and uncover what you're really about. Her pushing on us being not being the hero of the story and barely even the guide has been really helpful for me.
Like the collaborator, like you're the collaborator is pulling together all the information, presenting it, and kind of being like the backboard to be like, okay, does this make sense? Does this work for you? If it doesn't, what's another option?
But at the end of that, I'm a big fan of opinionated advice.
Yeah.
Like at the end of somebody really, like I remember the story I always tell is going to the vet and the vet saying you could do this, or this with the dog, and me being like, here's the credit card. You tell me it's your dog now. Like, tell me what to do.
That's my challenge. So I've swung so far in the other direction that I will get clients in a call where I'll be like, oh, you could do this, you could do that. And they'll be like, tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'll tell, like, if it were me, this is what I would do. But I am so far, like, I've gone too far where I'm kind of like, oh, these are your options. And these, and a lot of my clients are like, that's not why I pay you. I want you to tell me what to do. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm still going to present you the options. And then I'll say, maybe which of those sounds more appealing. And if you really want me to say which one I would choose, I will. But I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I've swung kind of a little bit too far. And I'm actually realizing that I have to come back a little bit because so many people come to me and they're like, I don't necessarily want to like workshop every single problem. I just want you to tell me how to solve it.
I'm not sure that being a collaborative thinking partner is mutually exclusive with having an opinion.
Right.
I'm just wondering if the ordering and the sequencing of them and the pay. Remember what Michael Bungay Stainer said was like, your advice stinks when it's too early.
Maybe they don't know right in that moment and they want us to tell them, hey, this is the way to go. But maybe if they stop and think and then come back to us with it.
Even that tactically, and she didn't call it a tactic, but it was a tactic, was like, we can talk about that next time. Like it's okay if you don't have an answer. We can talk about that next time. That's actually a really, really smart tactic to realize that these questions are questions that people are not used to being asked. By definition, they're like good questions. Greetings, Carl here. So excited. I was so happy about the October call with Amy Mullen. Amy is a really, really unique person in our industry because she thinks so deeply. This is this really interesting combination. She thinks so deeply about the work that real financial planners do, and she is able to challenge and push, and I would even say provoke, like be provocative, the edges. Like, hey, are we sure about this? Are we sure about that? And she also combines a very unique ability to tactically help us do the thing. So that's why I wanted to have Amy on, and particularly on this pushing idea. Like, hey, are you sure about that? What about this? And this first happened at an FPA, I think it was FPA Orange County, Financial Planning Association event in Orange County, where I was presenting and I said, does anybody have any questions? And Amy raised her hand, and I know Amy, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And she was like, I have two, as I recall, she said, I have two beefs with you. She actually got up and came to the front of the room, and we had this great conversation. Well, the October call was a continuation of that. And one area that Amy pushed me that I was really grateful for was, are we being too timid in what we say about the work that a real financial planner does in public? Are we still trying to like, hey, I'm kind of just an advisor, and then slowly show people instead of being bold and brave about going all the way? This is the work we do. And it made me wonder. It made me wonder about where I am scared of putting myself on the hook for the type of work I do. And I think you'll find the same thing. It was really great. So as a member of the Society of Advice, I hope you enjoy the October call. Can I just make a plea for you Can I just make a plea to you? We need to find the others, right? I know the work, the impact that the work you do has. And I know that the impact, because you've told me over and over and over, I know the impact that the membership call has. Setting aside 90 minutes to think deeply about the work that you do has a massive impact. And I want to double the number of members. I want more members in the membership. So would you do me a favor? Go tell the others. Go tell the others. We've made it really easy because I believe that the membership, you can't understand it through some sales pitch. I believe you have to experience a call. What we've decided to do is make, when people join, their first month is free and they can cancel anytime. That sounds like a little sales tactic, but it's actually not. It's just, it's like a free trial at the yoga studio. Do you know what I mean? Come and see if it's a good fit. If it's a good fit, you will know it. If it's not a good fit, it's no problem. Like high fives and hugs next time we see each other. It's no problem. I only want people in the membership where it's a good fit. So would you go tell the others? You can send them to the Society of Advice, thesocietyofadvice.com/membership, where they can join their first month free and cancel anytime. Cheers, my friends. Bye.